So welcome back to the Three Dudes of Horror. I'm Toots.
Damien.
Worm boy.
Yeah, don't worry about Worm Boy. He's a bit camera shy, hence the mask. So, but he looks better. I mean, I'm no prize winner, but damn, yeah.
Fuck you, Toots.
All right, so this week we're gonna cover Tales from the Hood, as you can see from behind me, and Annabelle Creation. So there will be spoilers for Annabelle, and there will be spoilers for Tales from the Hood. If you haven't seen it by now, it's more than 20 years old. So, all right, so
We're gonna do a brand new movie that we just saw tonight, and then give you nostalgia overload with Tales from the Hood from the 90s.
good old 90s. All right, anything you want to add, Worm Boy?
Scarecrow.
Yeah, slash Scarecrow.
Have fun, guys.
The other night, dear, as I lay sleeping, I dreamed I held you in my arms. But when I woke, dear, I was mistaken, and I hung my head and cried. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. I'll always love you and make you happy if you will only say the same. But if you leave me and love another, you'll regret it all someday. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. You told me once, dear, you really loved me, that no one else could come between. But now you've left me and love another. You have shattered all my dreams. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
All right, so we're the Three Dudes of Horror, and right now we're going to talk about Annabelle Creation. So there will be spoilers, as mentioned before. So we saw this maybe an hour ago, less than an hour ago.
Yeah, I would say an hour.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And so, what did you guys think of Annabelle Creation, first and foremost?
Well, it was definitely better than the first Annabelle movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that too.
Yeah, and I guess a quick synopsis would be that I would say this movie takes place, I want to say, maybe like the 40s or around there, like late 30s, early 40s, 1940s. And, this little girl that belongs to along with these parents, they're very happy-go-lucky, so you can tell something bad's going to happen. And then the little girl gets killed. I still call natural selection on that. And 12 years later, they decide to the parents decide to have transform the house into like an orphanage for these girls and this nun. And then slowly but surely they realize that the house is haunted by the spirit of their little girl named B. Well, the nickname is B, but her name is Annabelle. And the doll, the infamous doll, is at this point already, I wouldn't say possessed, but
that bitch is crazy.
Yeah, it's already tied to the demon, at this point.
Yeah.
So the parents are hiding that secret, and the girls in the orphanage kind of stumble onto that secret, and then hilarity ensues.
Well, but I think it's important to mention that the father was like a carpenter, and he ran like he had his own toy company.
Yeah.
So the movie opens with this very like artistically quote unquote shot montage of him actually creating the first Annabelle doll. So that's how the doll ends up there at the house, because the father actually created the doll.
Yeah, and
I wonder, like, since there's $100 that he created, right? So
well, I think he meant to, but then the car accident happens with the daughter, and I think
that's where it stops.
Yeah, it's never. That was one thing that's good about the movie. Like, there was very little exposition. They found very smart ways to reveal things to the audience without like just exposition overload. And it's kind of like inferred that he sort of gave up on that business, and like you said, they converted the house to an orphanage, and it was their way. Like, they kind of blamed themselves for their daughter's death.
Yeah.
And as you find out later in the movie, the reason they did it was to kind of like, it was their way of repenting that they thought to take in other girls and take care of them, since they feel that they allowed their daughter to be killed accidentally in a car accident.
Yeah, and they're also repenting
because of
the fact,
asking her asking her to come back.
Yeah, essentially they quote prayed to whatever force that's out there to see their daughter again. So once their what appears to be their daughter shows up, they decide to invite the daughter, well, really the demon, to inhabit the doll.
And at that point, it was like unbeknownst to them that it was an evil force.
Yeah, they didn't know at the time. They didn't know it was a demon. They thought it was their daughter.
It's that whole thing, like, they're mourning and they're desperate, so they just basically plead to any force out there that would allow them to see their daughter and talk to their daughter again. Yeah. Which, if you start messing with stuff like that, it's an evil force. But
and so not only are they repenting for the fact that they feel responsible for their daughter's death, for B's death, but also for conjuring, I guess, pun intended, I guess, the daughter / demon to infiltrate their house.
I thought it was a really good movie. Like, I agree with you, Damien, too, that it's way, I think it's a lot better than the first one, for sure.
Yeah.
Acting wise, that's where I would start. The little girls did such a good job.
Yeah, there was like one or two kind of little cheesy moments, but it wasn't enough that I was like, oh, come on.
I didn't really notice those cheesy moments. I guess because I was too involved in the story. I'm like, oh, what's gonna happen next?
Yeah, no. Like, it wasn't enough to. I think the one that comes to mind is when you actually see the daughter, when you see Annabelle, and then it's like, so what do you want with me? The little girl's like, what do you want with me? And then it turns around with the demon face. Your soul. Like, I thought that was a little cheesy. Like,
really?
I thought that was like,
I didn't think it was
little cheesy, but it wasn't enough that. It was a good scare, and it wasn't enough that it.
I thought it was good, actually. I wasn't expecting that.
But well, I think what made that scene maybe slightly took you out of the movie, which was really good, was that it was a CGI face.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it was.
Like if that would have been like a practical or like makeup effect, it would have been a lot.
It still looked
more creepy.
It still looked good.
Yeah, it wasn't enough that it was like, oh, that's terrible. It totally took me out of the movie.
No, but like I said, it wasn't enough to take me out completely, and it wasn't one of those moments where I'm like, oh, come on, it wasn't like that. It was, like I said, it was still a good scare. Like I did kind of chuckle a little bit, like, whoa,
you mean you shit your pants?
I did not shit my pants.
I actually didn't shit my pants, guys, and I'm scared of dolls. Like you've heard our other review, the Annabelle review. It was, I think, a lot scarier than the first one for sure.
Oh yeah, it had a lot of, it had jump scares, but it had good jump scares. And a lot of suspense also.
Yeah, I think the story was really well written and well played out with the actors. I mean,
and it was like you said before, the jump scares were actual, it was actually things that, you'd be wise to be afraid of. It wasn't like one of the girls jumping out and, you know what I mean? They weren't false. Like,
yeah. I think they did have one or two of those at the very beginning. Once we get to know like the orphans, but it wasn't enough that it was like, scream or cursed or anything like that.
No. Well, I had a feeling, like, I knew going into the movie, like we had mentioned it on the Annabelle podcast, that David F. Sandberg was the director of this movie, and I had a feeling that was going to be a big improvement, and it was. Mm-hmm. But I like the camera work that he was using at the beginning of the movie. Mm-hmm. And it went through my mind, like, as we were watching the movie, like, I might be alone on this, but I kind of felt like I was watching, like, a M. Night Shyamalan movie. Like,
what? Really?
The camera work, not, like, just the angles he was using and, like, the, how close or how far, or if there was objects, like, in the way of the shot, like the way that Shyamalan does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like...
It seemed like he was, like not, I don't think he was like intentionally like
doing it,
like copying him.
But he was like emulating that style, but I mean it worked. It was smart. Like, and then I also thought that the scene where the girls first arrive at the house and they're taking the tour, and it seemed like one big shot. It reminded me of the scene in The Conjuring when the family's first moving into their house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How it's like kind of like one steady shot, and they give the audience a tour of the whole house.
Yeah.
It made me think of that too. Like.
Yeah, I did get a little bit of the Conjuring vibe, especially where you see little moments here and there, where you don't know where or when the demon or the ghost of the daughter was gonna pop out. You knew something was gonna happen, but you couldn't pinpoint when exactly.
Yeah, to me it took a while to get to that scary part. Like maybe I would say 30 to 45 minutes in the movie, mm-hmm. and it was barely starting to pick up. But once it picked up, man, it picked up good, in my opinion.
Yeah,
they were scary. I mean, like I said, I hate dolls, and this one really scared the shit out of me. That part one.
Yeah, the figurative shit out of you.
No, I mean, I really enjoyed it. It was worth going to the theaters to watch it, I think.
Yeah, I thought so too.
And you know what surprised me about Lulu Wilson's character? Mm-hmm. I think her name was Nancy. I think
Nancy.
Yeah.
She was like not too much. It was very subtle, but she was like the comic relief in the movie. But it was like really, really subtle. It wasn't like she wasn't constantly in your face. Like, but anytime there were like funny lines, like when they're running away from the well, mm-hmm. and she's just like, "Who cares? Let's just go."
Yeah.
Like, but it wasn't like they weren't throwing the comedy in your face. But I thought like the whole element of where what's the main character's the girl that had polio?
Oh, Janice.
Okay. Nancy and Janice, how they had that bond, like, because I thought they were I honestly thought, like, are they sisters at the beginning of the movie? But then later on, you find out when they're having the conversation on the couch that they're actually both orphans. They're not blood related, but they kind of like made a promise to each other that they were gonna stay together. Like if one got adopted, the other one had to go.
Yeah.
And like it made you feel for the Nancy character when she's left, without Janice at the end of the movie. I thought.
Yeah, and I also like the fact that they put little snippets here and there of the nun from The Conjuring 2.
In the picture?
Because I know she's gonna have, or it's gonna have.
I thought it was only one snippet during the picture.
It was the where you see the where the wheelchair, where it grabs the wheelchair and it's shoving it into the shed. You don't see the face.
No,
but you can tell it was kind of wearing a habit.
Yeah.
And I remember at that shot at first, I thought it was Sister Charlotte was her name.
Yeah, Charlotte. Yeah.
No, I mean I just thought it was her. Just like she resumed like taking care of Janice, like, and then she started going really fast, like almost running, pushing her, and I was like, oh okay, yeah. And then you saw the hands.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You saw like the demonic hands, like it was like, oh okay, yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
And demonio.
But the one that was like clearly an Easter egg or a cliffhanger to the Nun movie was the picture. The one, like you said.
I was just like, what?
Yeah.
Because she's talking about, like, they really set up another story, like
yeah.
Sister Charlotte's like, oh, this was when I was in Romania, and she's at some
convention or coven
with, and then she doesn't even see it. The father character is like, well, who's this over here in the dark? And she's like shocked, like she had never noticed.
She's
it
like,
before.
I didn't even know.
Yeah, she's like, I didn't, and that was obviously like, oh, okay, that's Valak or.
Yeah.
The nun demon from The Conjuring 2.
Yeah. Yeah, you see an old photo of them from the convent. And yeah, just the way they played it out was genius. Where like you see it and it's like, oh, like you see a little snippet of the nun.
You know what it reminds me of? Those hologram cards from the 90s.
Kind of, yeah.
Like, you move them to one side and it's a face, and then you move them back and it's a different face.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking when I saw that. But it was awesome.
Mhm. Yeah, I thought the demon in this one was scary.
I know, it was all black and with yellow eyes, right, or red?
Yeah,
eyes?
it was like
I was wondering if it was the same demon from the first Annabelle movie.
I was thinking,
I think
it's the same one because it has to be. I mean, it's the one that's inhabiting that doll, that's using the Annabelle doll as a conduit.
For some reason, remember that part where they where the demon becomes taller? Like, you remind me of the Crooked Man for some reason.
I thought of that too.
Yeah. I was like, what the hell? That's fucking creepy.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I thought of too.
And I started hearing the stupid song too. The Crooked Man song.
And the other Easter egg that I liked, and it was more of a meta
Physical?
Well, yeah, I guess that's what you say. Like, it's a meta
metaphor?
Easter egg. You're making me lose my train of thought. But at the very end, when Janice gets adopted, and at that point she still has the demon in her, that you see the Higgins family.
Yeah, the Higgins
from the first Annabelle movie. Yeah, bring in a Raggedy Ann doll.
I was like, oh wow, they did it. They actually did it. I was surprised.
I like that Easter egg because the real Annabelle doll is a Raggedy Ann doll.
But that's not the first time that they've done that in the Conjuring universe.
Really?
Isn't there another one? There's another movie in the Conjuring universe that they put a Raggedy Ann doll in there somewhere.
Which one? Conjuring 1?
No, maybe like in
I think it was part 1. Yeah.
It's like in the background or something. It's not as in your face as this one.
But it's just like in the background?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
The first Conjuring.
I would have to see that one again to see, because I think they had the picture of the real Annabelle like in there. You know how they had like the comparison, the actors versus the real people, and I think at one point they showed like a photograph of the real Annabelle doll in the museum. Well,
I guess we'll look it up.
Yeah, we would I want to check on that.
Well, there was like one huge exposition scene in the movie, but I liked the way that David F. Sandberg did it because it's kind of like after they already revealed everything to the audience, and you pretty much know what's going on, and then Sister Charlotte's having the conversation with Mrs. Mullen, and she basically just like reassures the audience. She explains everything, but you kind of already know. So it's like, just in case you're still wondering, yes, this is what's going on. Like, that's kind of how they used the exposition scene.
Yeah, it didn't feel like a total exposition dump.
Because it was already towards the end of the movie, so it wasn't, they weren't constantly, the way that David F. Sandberg did it was that they weren't constantly bombarding you with exposition all throughout the movie, which I thought they did in the first Annabelle. Like, they found really slick and unique ways to explain things to the audience with just the story, just the acting, just the visuals, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really done really well.
Okay, so let's talk about the actual, like, the ending of the movie.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. We already spoiled it.
Yeah. This is like the biggest one, though.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, the ending to this movie, essentially, it kind of, I don't want to say like it sequel baits itself, even though it's already done. But what it does is that it leads up to the first Annabelle movie.
Right.
So you see, essentially, the first, not the first few minutes, I would say the first moments when you see the people from
kill the pregnant woman, right?
Yeah, from that cult, like, go in and kill the.
Well, it's the scene where Annabelle and her new cult husband show up at her parents' house, at the Higgins house.
Yeah.
To
murder them, yeah.
And then the girl next door sees it.
Right. And they kind of like reshot, or they used like
old footage.
I think they used the same footage.
No, but I didn't. Or maybe they could have used like outtakes from the first Annabelle.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, and
we'll see. Well, I'll let you. I'll let you.
Okay. No, well, I was gonna say, it didn't. The way they shot it, it didn't bother me as much as it did you, because, well, it bothered me a little bit because I thought, when you see, the killings happen through the window from the other house, thinking way back to the original Annabelle movie, and then you see the wife wake up, I thought it should have ended right then and there, where you see the wife's face, kind of like, what was going, what's that? Mm-hmm. Hearing all that commotion next door. Yeah. I thought it should have ended there. But you mentioned, Damien, that you wanted it to end earlier.
Well, see, I slightly disagree, because at that point it literally led into the first Annabelle movie. Like, I thought it would have been really slick because the way it happens is they end up trapping the Janice character when she's still possessed in the closet with all the Bible pages all over, and she tears a hole through the wall, and the cops open the door, and the Annabelle doll's still in there, but she's not, and there's a big hole in the wall. So you're like, well, what happened to her? And then they cut to another orphanage, and a married couple is walking in, and then when they get into the room to be introduced to who they're gonna potentially adopt, then you find out that they're the Higgins, because the woman that's running the orphanage actually says, Higgins. Well, these are the Higgins. So, and then she turns around and you see that it's Janice, but she introduces herself as Annabelle.
Yeah, I'm like,
so she's going by Annabelle now. Yeah. And to me, it would have been perfect if that would have been it. That would have been the tie-in, and they cut it off right there.
Yeah, but the way they shot it is that they actually played it out until, like, the last moment you see in the movie is where you see the husband. I don't remember his name from Annabelle. But the husband actually goes next door to check the Higgins family, and you actually see him leave the house and go next door, and that's where it ends.
I don't know. It didn't really bother me at all.
I thought that little portion bothered me.
I thought it was a good tie-in. I thought it did well, but because it also helps. Like, if no one's seen part one, I understand why they did that. Like, because there are people out there that haven't seen part 1, and now they're gonna go rent it or buy it to just see what part 1's all about.
Yeah.
And they might not even know it's from part 1. They're gonna be like, oh, that's from this part.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, but I thought, whoever's seen Annabelle Creation more than likely would have seen the first one. At least that's just an assumption. But for those that have actually seen it, I thought it was enough as a kind of like a little reminder, like, okay, well, this is the Higgins family, and then okay, so these are the cultists that go in and kill them, and then that's when the wife hears a commotion. That's when I thought it should have ended.
I guess it depends on memory too, because like if I had seen it yesterday, I would have been like, oh, okay. But if I had seen it when Annabelle first came out, then I would have been like, oh, that's good that it reminded me.
Yeah,
that's why it didn't really bother me.
Because honestly, I didn't remember the name of the neighbors of the Higgins. I didn't remember the names. Like, they looked familiar, and I was like, okay, I wonder where this is going.
I'm so ashamed that I'm that familiar with the first Annabelle movie.
You probably seen it a lot, right?
When they said the Higgins, I was like, oh, okay, it's them.
Oh, and maybe it's because I only seen it once. I mean, I told you guys in the last review, like, I am terrified of fucking dolls. Like, I told you. And maybe that's why I kind of, like, took that off my head.
Yeah.
My head movies.
In your head movies?
But I give it, I would give it a B- in my
I would actually give this movie a B+.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe an A-. Like, B+ to A-. Like, it was constructed really well. The narrative was played out really well, I think.
Yeah, I give it like a B to B+. I give it, I would give it that range. I really liked how the scares worked. I liked how the scares felt very organic. And I thought they did a good job in terms of the acting, the exposition, where they weren't insulting our intelligence at the same time. They weren't doing just this whole exposition dump like at the very beginning, you know. Because whenever you see like the creation of something, at the beginning, like the doll being created, it could have just explained everything.
It was a great creation story, I think, and they played it out really well. And
yeah,
I would go see it, guys. If you get a chance, see it this weekend. I mean,
I would recommend it at the theater. Just make sure that the people behind you keep quiet.
Yeah. But other than that, it was good.
Well, one last thing I did want to say was they wrote it really well as far as the origin story, where it's hard to find continuity issues.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's hard to say, well, this doesn't make sense because in the other movie or in The Conjuring, this and that. Like, they wrote it where it's kind of tough for you to do that. So, like, I applaud the writers for that on that part.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job covering their bases that way. All right, so that is our review of Annabelle Creation. Like I said, we highly recommend it. Watch it in the theaters. I would recommend you watch it first and then watch the review, because if not, at this point, you already know what's going to happen.
You already know what happened.
Yeah, this is a spoiler review.
Yeah. All right, so I'm Toots.
Damien.
And Wormboy.
And we'll be back with Tales from the Hood.
Check you guys later. Make sure you check us out on Facebook, 3 Dudes of Horror, and also like our videos on YouTube. Represent, man.
Yeah.
Represent.
All right.